Muy buenos días a todos, bienvenidos. Mi nombre es Laura Alejandra Cuesta, yo soy la profesional de Relaciones Internacionales de la Asociación Colombiana de Universidades ASCUN. Junto al British Consul le damos la bienvenida a esta sesión que hemos organizado con el objetivo de presentarles a ustedes la estructura y contenidos del IELTS en su componente de Writing y darles a ustedes también los top tips para tener el mejor desempeño el día del examen. El día de hoy nos acompaña Juan Carlos Arcila, él es consultor académico para el British Council y nos acompañará durante toda la sesión dirigiendo este taller. Entonces, los invitamos a todos a participar, a dejar sus comentarios y preguntas en el chat y pues que aprovechen mucho esta sesión el día de hoy. Entonces, bienvenido Juan Carlos y bienvenidos a todos nuevamente. Gracias.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. We're going to be speaking about IELTS. And this time we're going to be speaking about IELTS, the writing part. For some of us is one of the toughest. For some of us is the easiest. It all depends on your skills and how well you have prepared yourself for the test. So before we start, I would like to ask you to please, okay, I'm going to introduce myself. I didn't do that. Well, Laura gave you a brief presentation, but I am going to tell you. So my name is Juan. I am 100% Paisa, broadcasting from a beautiful Rio Negro, which is close to Medellin. And very close to the airport. So if you hear planes flying, well, it's because I am like 5 minutes away from the airport. Oh, yeah, there's one. And so, yeah, without that distraction, I hope we're not going to be distracted by the sound of the planes. Well, I'm very happy to be here. IELTS has been a very interesting topic to talk about. And that is something that I have been doing for the last, I don't know, 10 years. I have been working as a teacher since I was 18. So it's been a very long time. I started working as a professor in an academy in Europe, very close to Ukraine, a place called Poland, a beautiful place. Very similar to Colombians. Yeah, Polish are very similar. Yeah, and the culture is, well, they're different in a sense because the food is different. They have blue eyes and blonde hair, but apart from that, we're very similar. They don't admit it, but we do here. And I have been working for the British Council for about 7 years now, 8 years. So it's been a very interesting experience. Okay, so that's a little bit about myself. And today we're going to be speaking about writing, as I said in the beginning of this presentation. Now, I have a proposal for you. I would love to know, what is it you want to learn or, review or reflect upon when we speak about IELTS, the writing part? I would love to hear or to see in the chat window what your main objective for today is. Why did you connect to this session? I would love to see that in the comments, in the chat window. Okay, so I am going to give you 1 minute to post your idea or ideas on what is it you want to learn today. Okay, and this workshop is going to be done in English, but if you want me to speak in Spanish and hear my strong Paisa accent, that is also possible, but let's try and do it in English. So please post your comments or your objective for today. What is your objective for today? What do you want to do? Why did you connect today? Okay, 1 minute. Okay, so here I have some comments by you. The first comment is, let's see, improve your listening skills. Okay, since this is a, workshop on the writing part, of course, we're going to be practicing like listening, but the main focus is writing. But I think we can do that. There is one more that says, you want to get to band 7. So what do we need to do? Okay, so you need to sound more natural, Carlos Alberto says. To learn tips, okay. Okay, there is one person, Daniela, who's going to be going to the UK. That's wonderful. And you want to know. Okay, the differences between IELTS and the TOEFL. Okay, we're going to focus on IELTS. And I think by understanding IELTS a little bit better, I think you will be able to sort of understand the TOEFL. If you're going to the UK, I would recommend taking the IELTS. That would be a recommendation, just because the IELTS is partially created in the UK, and it is very well, it's accepted in the whole country. So I would suggest taking the IELTS, and not because I have a specific like preference. I think there are 2 different exams, and they have similar approaches. But if you're going to Europe, I would suggest taking the IELTS instead of the TOEFL. And okay, and there is one more that says you want to get to band 7, and you want to know how you can achieve that. There is one person who says you want to have band 8. Okay, and that's very interesting. Okay. Okay, Daniela has already taken the TOEFL. Okay, very good. Thank you for sharing your ideas on what is it you want to achieve in this workshop. So I am going to start by asking you, because this is a conversation. Please, if at some point you want to speak, you can do it. Just let me know and I'll tell you when you can, but this is a conversation. So I'm going to ask you lots of questions. So we're going to start by this. Does anyone know what's the difference between, because we have in the IELTS, the writing part, we have 2 versions, right? This is a review. Remember that for the IELTS, you have 4 parts. First part being the reading, then listening, speaking, and writing. Yes, and what's the difference? Because we have 2 different types of exams. We have the academic exam and we have the general version test. So what's the difference? Do you know? Where can you find the differences? Is it in the reading part, or do we have the same? Or is it for the listening? Is the listening different in the academic version? Or if we speak about the speaking part, do you expect the examiner to make it different depending on whether it is the general version or the academic version? What's your opinion? Where are they different? Are they different? They should, because they call them academic versus general. What's the difference? Does anyone know? Type in the chat window. What's the difference? How different are they? No. Okay, I'll tell you. The basic difference between the academic version and the general version is in the academic version. Okay. Daniela says, well, you don't know what the difference is, but I think the one for the visa is different. Well, the only difference for the, like if you're taking the IELTS UK VI, it's the monitoring is a little bit more, let's say, precise. They record everything you do because they want to avoid cheating. And cheating is like part of human life. People cheat, don't know why, but we sometimes cheat. And then when it comes to tests, people try to cheat. So for the IELTS UK VI, it's more demanding in terms of like recording sessions, and your speaking session needs to be recorded. The examiners also need to go through special training, right? Because they need, to help you achieve your main aims in traveling to the UK. So yeah, but of course, the main difference between the academic version and the general version is in writing and also in the reading part. So when it comes to the speaking part and the listening part, they're the same. Okay, so expect, if you're taking the general version, well, the listening part is going to be the same as the for the academic version. And if it comes to the writing part, it is also going to be different. Okay, so the academic version is different than the general version. Okay, so I would say, well, I think it's the academic version, the one you're taking. Yes, Daniela, but you should do some research on that. But this information that I'm going to share is going to help you with both. So hopefully all the tips that we're going to see are going to be helpful for you. Okay, so let's start by speaking about the general version, and I am going to focus more on the academic version just because most people take the academic version here in Colombia because they're planning to take it for academic purposes, so they'd rather choose the academic version. But for both, this information is going to be helpful. So IELTS academic, IELTS general version. When we speak about the writing part, how many parts do we have? 2, 3, 4, how many? When it comes to writing, how many parts does the writing section have? Type 1, 2, 3, 4. What's your answer? I'll show you the information I have, the presentation, but Jairo says it has 2. Dana says it definitely has 2 parts. Adriana says, does anyone have a different opinion? How many sections does it have when we speak about the writing part? Any idea? It's 2, 3? Well, the answer is 2. And I am going to share with you my screen so you can see like the introduction to this presentation. We're going to divide this presentation into like 3 parts. I am going to give you like a brief overview on the differences between the 2 exams. Then we're going to focus a little bit on skills that you need to develop. Yes, that we call like the micro skills and the macro skills. We have we need to develop these skills if we want to succeed, get to band 8, should you want. We're going to then speak about the criteria. What are the marking criteria for the test? This is important because if you want to succeed, you need to know how you're going or the way you're going to be assessed in your writing performance. Okay, so we're going to see what the criteria are. Okay, and what problems you may encounter when it comes to writing. Okay, and then I am going to focus on the different types of essays that you have to write when it comes to writing part 2. So as I said, when we are assessed in IELTS, in the writing part, there are 2 parts, task 1 and task 2. Okay. And the time, how long does it take? Is it an hour and 30 minutes? Is it 1 hour? Is it 45 minutes? How much time do you need for the writing part? What's your answer? Okay, while you answer that, I am going to show you my presentation, if you allow me, okay? Right, please confirm once you see the screen, okay? Just show me your thumbs up if you see the screen. You can't see the screen. How can you see the screen? I haven't started sharing. How dare you say that? I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, here. So, can you see the screen? Can you see the screen now? Okay, yes, now you can. Very good. So, as I said, there are 2 different parts of the exam, or 2 different versions, the academic version and the general version. When it comes to this is the academic version. The academic version lasts for 60 minutes, and it's up to you to decide how much time you're going to dedicate to each time, but it is recommended that you allot 20 minutes to your writing task and 40 minutes to the second part of the test, just because you have to write more in the second part, so you need more time. And of course, you need to prepare better for the second part, because it is longer in terms of the ideas that you need to develop. Okay, but for the writing task, you are going to be writing or describing 7, like they're going to give you like different options. There are 7 different versions of the writing part. Okay, we're going to see that in just a moment. But for the writing part, please prepare for 7 different types of tasks. Yes, 7. Oh, they told you 1? No. 2? No. 7. You might be given any of the 7 tasks that I am going to be telling you in just a moment. So writing task 1, you need to summarize visual information, describe what you see, and you need to prepare for 7 different types of questions they might ask you. Of course, it is only one during the test, but prepare for 7, because you don't know what you're going to be asked for. Okay, and the second part is an academic essay, and you are expected to be prepared for 5 different types of essays. We're going to see that in just a moment. Okay, writing task 1 is only 1 task, but prepare for 7 different types of tasks. I'm going to tell you what that is about in just a moment. Part number 2 is going to be an essay. It's just 1 essay, but prepare for 5 different types of essays. Okay, this is very important. We're going to see that in just a moment. Don't worry. And then we have the second part. The second version, which is the general version of the test. In the general version of the test, you are expected to write a letter in the first part. And it is a letter that covers different topics. It is normally about transactional sort of things. When I say transactional, it's like a letter of complaint to a hotel that didn't offer the best service, or you left your jacket in the lobby and you want to ask for the jacket, how you can get it back. that sort of things are the things that you are supposed to be writing about in writing task 1 when it comes to the general version of the test. And then writing task 2, it is an essay. It's an essay, and I would suggest you prepare for this second part in the same way you would prepare for the academic version, because it's basically the same thing. And I am going to give you the 5 different types of essays that you should be prepared for when approaching this part of the test. So to summarize, there are 2 versions of the test: the academic version and the general version. When it comes to the academic, you have 2 parts. Each of for the first part, it lasts 20 minutes. It should last for 20 minutes, and the second part, 40 minutes. Okay. Please, if you're approaching the academic version of the test, prepare for 7 different types of tasks they might ask you. Of course, they will give you just 1, but there are 7 different types. I'll tell you what that is in just a moment. And for the second part, I'm speaking about the academic version. Remember that you need to write an academic essay, and there are 5 different types of essays. So prepare for the 5 different types of essays, okay? And now, when it comes to the general version of the test, you have 2 parts too, 2 parts as well. And for the first part, you should, dedicate more or less 20 minutes, second 40 minutes. In the first part, you are expected to write a letter or an email for transactional purposes, like finding out what time the plane leaves and what you're going to be doing in this event that you have booked for in previous weeks, for example. That would be an example of the type of letter that you should be writing in the writing task. And for the writing task 2, it's an essay. And as I said before, my recommendation is to prepare the same way you would do it if you had taken the academic version. Okay, so 2 versions, they're a little bit different. Now, what skills? Look at the list. I'm sorry, it's the picture. It's a picture that I took from the official website of IELTS. And there are 2 different types of skills that you need to develop. Okay, micro skills and macro skills. Micro skills, macro skills. Would you please read? I'm going to give you 1 minute to go through the skills. And if you have questions, would you please type them down? I'll give you some extra ideas on that. But those are the skills that you need to develop. I'm going to give you 1 minute. And if you have a question as to what may I or what I want to say or what I have shown you there, I'll give you the answer. Okay, but type it down. 1 minute. Okay, now it's time for you to ask what questions do you have about the micro skills? Do you have any questions, any ideas that you would like me to expound on? Do you know all the words are there without having to look at Google? Any questions? I have no questions, no questions. Well, okay. Oh, Daniela, it means agreeing, just agreeing, or like, for example, I consider that Paisa people eat too much arepa during the day. It's too much. And well, I can say, yeah, that is true. We do eat lots of arepa, but it's healthy. Don't know if it is healthy, but you see, so I concede. I agree with you, and there are points in which I would disagree, but I make a concession. Yes, that's you know, agreeing or making a concession. Yes. Now, hedging. Okay. I live in a farm. This farm is very beautiful. It's beautiful. And you know, there are some areas in the farm that are like green, of course, because it's a farm. And I take a special machine and I start hedging. Hedging is like organizing the lawn, yes, where I live, or mowing the lawn, as they say. Hedging is like making beautiful. Now, when it comes to writing, let me give you one example. If someone asked you the same question, arepa, Paisa people eat too many arepas during the day. And then I need to write an essay about that. Well, I would not be hedging if I said something like this. That's not true. No, you need to, you know, give it a little bit more, like give more information. I add ideas. You know, you don't need to get straight to the point. You need to, of course, at some point, but you need to adorn what you're going to say, make it more beautiful, add some extra ideas. That's hedging. Okay, hedging. Do you understand? Is it clear? Okay, hedging is yes. When another example, you need to write about poverty in Colombia, right? And then you start your paragraph by saying people are poor in Colombia. You're not hedging. You need to give more information, like, okay, there are some areas in Colombia where you can see, like, or there are some deprived areas where you see people with less opportunities, and that is what you see, hedging. Okay, excellent. Any other idea as to what strategies you need to develop or skills you need to develop? Okay. If you don't have, I'm going to focus a little bit more on, let me see if you have more. Okay. So, strategies, but now related to criteria. You want to take this exam, you need to know what criteria the examiner is going to use to assess your performance. Okay. So there are 4 groups of criteria. Let's start by the first one. Sorry, here. Task achievement. That's number 1. Okay. How well you have achieved what they have asked for. Yes. If they have asked you to write a letter about the terrible service this hotel has, well, you should achieve that task. In the end, you should not say, oh, but you know what? As a matter of fact, no, the service was okay. No, you need to achieve the task. So task achievement, how well you have achieved the task that they have given you. Second, coherence and cohesion. Coherence, yes. How well and how logical your discourse or your writing is throughout the whole piece of writing. How logical is it? Yes. How coherent it is. I think the word is similar in Spanish, so we understand what coherence is, yes, and cohesion, how connected ideas are and how well they, how well you connect those ideas. And you use, for example, like cohesive devices, which is something that we're going to see in just a moment. Now, lexical resource. There was a question there about grammar, and it's grammar, of course, and how well you use words, how you connect words. Yes, vocabulary. If you're good describing, sorry, I'm going to speak about arepa, but this is the last time I'm going to use the word arepa. But okay, describe an arepa. How well can you describe an arepa? Of course, it's not about IELTS, of course, but I'm giving you this example of arepa because think about this. How well can you describe the reality that surrounds you in English, in Spanish? In Spanish, how well can you describe it in Spanish? How can you do it in English? For example, okay, I am surrounded by trees and vegetation. And okay, you see how well or how many words can you use to describe the same reality you see? Okay. And in the previous workshop, I gave you some strategies to think in English. And this applies for this too. Start thinking in English, because this workshop is about tips, right? So how can you, I'm sorry, if you attended the previous workshop, I am going to do some review on this. A very good way to improve on your lexical resource is to start thinking in English. And I know it sounds difficult, but a very good way to achieve this is by using the following strategy. Week number 1, you think words. You think out words of everything you do. Okay, so I'm here in this cabin. I am in the middle of a cabin. I don't know if you can see, it's a cabin in the farm where I live. And this cabin is made out of wood. And then you start like using vocabulary. You don't know how a word is said or what you see. I'll take Google, ask it, and then start memorizing, practicing all those words that you need to describe the reality that surrounds you. Then you go to work and then you start describing, okay, TV set, office, desk, don't know the name for this. Stapler. Okay, stapler, right. And then the same for a week. Then the next week, you connect ideas. So you start with sentences. Okay, I'm speaking here today. And then you do that in your mind. Of course, you don't have to say it all day because, people are going to think you're crazy. And then the last week, the third week, you start telling yourself stories about what you see from the very moment you get up to the last moment when you go to sleep. Try doing that and you'll see that your English starts improving. Okay, so lexical resource, use of vocabulary. There is some material there that I am going to share at the end of this workshop. 10:40. That will help you with that. Then grammatical range and accuracy. How well you connect ideas and if they are grammatically correct. Yes, those are the main criteria. Recommendation, know your descriptors. Okay, if you're aiming at band 8, go to IELTS.org, find the descriptors for band 8. I'm not going to focus on that. There is no time, but study your descriptors. You're going to see, just go to IELTS.org and type in Google or whatever browser you use, type descriptors, and it'll show you what the criteria are for your specific band, the band you're aiming at. Some people said, I want to get to band 7. I need band 8. Okay, start understanding your descriptors. Here are some links. I'm not going to focus on that, but I am going to focus on the criteria real quick. So criteria, remember that criteria is plural form for criterion, which is one. Criterion, one, criteria, many. Okay, the criteria for this is how well you have achieved the task they're giving you. Okay, now when it comes to writing academic part 1, please remember the following, and this is tip number 1, just number 1, okay? The previous was just context, background. This is the real tip. Tip number 1, focus on what you see, only on what you see. Do not make assumptions. Do not say, I'm going to show you that in just a moment. Give me 1 second, I'll show you what I mean by that, okay? I am going to share with you an image, picture, that I have taken from task part 1. Please confirm once you see it. Well, I don't see it. So, okay, here. Let me share with you. Look at that. This is a graph. What kind of graph? Is it a bar graph? Is it a line graph? What kind of graph is this one? This is a, let me see your answer. What's line graph? Good, Carlos. Okay, so here, you need to describe what you see, only what you see. Okay, this is too difficult, but this graph describes like the momentums that a plane can have, and the limits that this plane has. So, for example, the maximum weight this plane has at the position of the pilot and the front passenger is, if I am not mistaken, let me see, 400 kilograms. I'm sorry, this is in pounds, 400 pounds. The maximum weight for this fuel is 240 pounds. And the same happens for the rear passenger. So it's a description of what you see. You're not allowed to do the following. Oh, perhaps this is because this is a small plane. No, don't do that. For writing task 1, just focus on what you see. Factual information that you can gather from the same graph. And for that, I have for you a very, very short video that I wanted to share with you. This video is amazing for preparing yourself for writing part 1. As a matter of fact, you study it, memorize it. I'm sure you're going to succeed in writing part 1. Are you ready for the video? Ready? If you are not, please be. Okay, I'll share with you the video, okay? Let me just take this out. Here it is, and I'll share with sound. Bear with me, this is important. Okay. Now this is a video from Australian Network, or ABC, they call themselves now ABC Australia. It's a free network. It's a public station created by the government, of course, and this offers material for you to prepare for IELTS. And this one specifically is for writing part 1. Watch the first, I'm going to show you just 2 minutes, okay, of this video. And I'm going to provide you with the link in the chat window. Look at this.
We've got your notes? Yes, I do. Start at the back. Right. Now, I'd like to refer to the first graph. As you can see, this is a bar graph measuring net sales over the first 10 months of the year. You'll notice that sales rose steadily in the first few months. Then there was a marked increase in April. They peaked in May at around 3.2 million and levelled off. Then there was a dramatic drop in the following month, followed by a significant increase in August, and this trend has continued up until the present.
What was the reason?
Okay, you see? So they this guy describes exactly what he sees in the graph. Of course, he's prepared because he's an actor, but he describes it perfectly. What's the best thing about this series is that they share with you vocabulary and ideas as to how to approach these types of tasks. So here, as you progress through this, or as you continue watching, they give you examples. Yes, you see, for example, how you can use increase. So how you can use it as a noun, how you can use it as a verb, what adverbs you can use with this. So this is a must. Study this and you'll succeed if you're taking academic version, writing 1. Okay, so I'm going to share with you my screen now. Because we don't have much time, I would love you, if you have questions, type them down so I can, focus a little bit more on what is it you want to know. Okay, so type your questions if you have questions. Start typing your questions. But to summarize, writing task 1, good recommendation. Tip number 1, focus on the descriptors, on what is it you want to achieve. Yes, and now develop the following strategies. Number 1, remember that when you approach this type of tasks, you're asked to describe only what you see, only what you see. Do not make any assumptions and use the right vocabulary. For that, I have the 2 books that I want to share with you, or 2 links. The first link is a book called Business Grammar and Usage by Pearson Education. This is an amazing piece of writing that is going to help you with the with writing part 1. Give me 1 second so I can share it with you here. Don't know if, yes, here. Go there. You can even download that book. It's an amazing book, and I want to refer to pages 170 and 171. Let me share with you my screen so you can see this book here. This book is called Business Grammar and Usage by Pearson Education, and here they give you like all the tips that you need to describe. Pie charts, that's 1. I said there are 7 different types of tasks they might ask you to write about in academic writing 1. Yes, so pie charts. So they give you ideas as to how to describe pie charts. Second type, bar graphs. Yes, or bar charts. They also call them bar charts. Third, tables. Fourth, line graphs. Fifth part that you need to describe, maps. Yes. Sixth, flow charts. I'll give you the 7th in just a moment. But this book is great for that because it helps you with vocabulary that you can use, structures you can use to present information, how you can introduce the topic, how can you structure what you're going to say, how you can refer to information that you see. Okay, so very important, and how you can move from one point to the next point. Very important when it comes to writing part 1. Sorry, I'm going backwards, but I want to go forward. So here they give you examples, they give you exercises as to what you need to know when you describe graphs. Okay, so academic writing 1, focus on this. Now, this book also helps you with task 1 when it comes to the general version of the test. Just remember the following. In writing part 1, they're going to give you 4 ideas that you need to develop, between 4 and 3 ideas. Now, remember the first set of criteria. The first set of criteria said you need to accomplish your task thoroughly. So a good recommendation, focus just on those 4 ideas. Do not go beyond those 4 ideas because that is what they want from you. Second, remember the number of words you use and vocabulary you use. Start practicing, reading a lot. Find on the web lots of examples of people who have taken the test and take notes, write vocabulary, focus on types of questions they might ask you. And I'm going to refer to another very good piece of material that you can find on the web that is from the BBC. I usually in these workshops recommend this because this is an amazing type of material that you can use for your exams. So remember, first task, you have two different types of tasks. When it comes to the general version, remember it's an email. Focus on how to apologize, how to ask for permission, how to complain for a service, and I'll show you the material in just a moment. The second is, if you're going to be taking the academic version, focus on presenting figures and information. And this book that I'm sharing with you is what you need. You can find more information on the web, great, but this book is great for that. And it will help you. And also this video that I'm sharing with you, The Business of English by the Australian Network. Okay. Once again, Heido wants to see how can we achieve the uses of variety of structures. Carlos Alberto has very interesting questions. I'm going to share with you my screen again with the presentation, and you can answer your questions there. Is there a specific structure to follow? Yes. Okay. I'm going to focus on that in just 1 minute, but let me share with you the screen here. Okay. So, criteria for both exams: how well you have achieved the objectives of the task. Remember that for writing, part 1 is 150 words. If it is academic, it's 150 words related to describing graphs, pie charts, tables, flow charts, like specific information. And just remember, you're not allowed to make any assumptions. It's just what you see. If it is the general version of the test, it's an email, and the structure is very basic. You just go to in a very short introduction, describe each point that is given to you, and conclude. That's the basic structure for academic writing. I'm sorry, for the general writing part 1. Now, what are problems? As I said, speculating in a graph is not allowed. Do not speculate. Do not make any assumptions. Just cover what you see. Okay. Any other problems that you may find when it comes to coherence is like when you lack enough words to connect your ideas, like cohesive devices. That's very important. Use cohesive devices. Learn like contrast words. In the book that I have just shared with you, Business Grammar in Usage, just go to the section where it says linking words. Linking words. Learn your linking words and you'll succeed. Okay. Problems. Paragraphing is a problem. If you don't know how to paragraph, that's a problem. Overuse of linkers, like I'm going to show you one example. Look at this. This person wants to show that he knows, how to use linkers, but this person has a problem. Look, it says, firstly, I would like to say that some people use too many linkers. However, some use a good amount of linkers. In addition, they use them in the right places. For example, they put linkers in the middle of paragraphs. Nonetheless, there are many students who don't follow this strategy. In other words, they use lots of linkers. That's a problem. Too many linkers. So look at this. You see, this person achieved the same thing, but got a better result. Just 2 linkers. Firstly, I would like to say that some people use too many linkers. They add them at the beginning of every single sentence, which is often not necessary. In contrast, some students use an appropriate amount of linkers, which they place correctly, sometimes in the middle of or at the ends of sentences too. You see, 2 linkers, and this is more successful than the previous example. Okay, now that is regarding writing part 1. Writing part 1, practice your linkers, practice with this book that I have shared with you, and let me share with you the video, The Business of English. Very like I recommended, it's a very, very, very good series of videos. It's not just that one, but this is the one that I recommend for this specific task. Now let's focus on writing part 2, which is very important. Listen carefully. There are 5 different types of essays for which you need to prepare. Okay, 5. Note them down. Don't worry. I'll share with you a very, very good website that has all you need. Okay, so don't worry, but just pay attention for just a moment. The first part, or the first type of essay that you are going to find that you might be asked to develop is opinion essay. Opinion essay. Opinion. Okay. The second is discussion essay. Opinion, discussion. Opinion. What's your opinion? They'll ask you right away, what's your opinion? Express if you agree or disagree. That's opinion essay, okay? Opinion essay, agree or disagree. To which extent do you agree? Okay, that's opinion essay, okay? Second, discussion. They give you 2 ideas and they ask you to develop both and give your opinion too. Yes, but to discuss 2 ideas, 2 sides of a problem, like sides or two ways of thinking, to contrast 2 ideas. Okay, that's discussion essays. Discussion essays. Okay, 1 problem, 2 ideas about that situation. Okay, third type of essay, problem solution essays. Okay, problem solutions essays. This is they give you a situation and you need to discuss what the problem is and what the solution is. Okay, I'm going to give you like a structure just in 2 minutes that you need to follow if you want to focus on that type of essay. The 4th type of essay is called advantages and disadvantages. Advantages and disadvantages. So they give you, I don't know, traveling by sea is preferred by many people. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages in traveling by boat. And then you need to, describe what the advantages are and the disadvantages in an essay. And the last type of essay they might ask you to write about or to develop is double question essays. They give you a situation, 2 questions, and you need to answer them based on what you know or what you know based on your English and your skills. Okay, so that is a brief description of the types of essays. So remember, opinion, discussion, problem solution, advantages and disadvantages, and double question. Now, don't worry, this workshop is just a tip of the iceberg, but I am going to give you the material for you to study. If you focus on these pieces of writing or this material, you're going to succeed, I promise, because like you can find tons of information on the web. Like you can find this examiner who gives you this information or that over there. You can come to these sessions, but the most important is that you do research, but you focus on those most successful strategies. And the ones that I'm sharing with you are really successful, I promise. So very basic structure. The most important part when you approach task number 2 is to focus on the structure. And the structure is as follows. Let me share with, I love paint. I love paint. Paint is an amazing tool, promise. It's good, it's great. Okay, paint. Here, look, so structure. Oh, no. Structure number 1. Introduction. Depending on the type of essay, opinion, discussion, advantages, disadvantages, problem solution, and double question, your introduction will be developed. So the introduction, in the introduction, you're supposed to sort of name or paraphrase what they're asking you. And depending on the type of essay, you should also include right from the very beginning what your opinion is. Yes, depending on the type of essay, right? You're going to see that in the material that I'm going to share with you. But the first part is introduction. Then you have a paragraph. Second paragraph and conclusion. So opinion, for example, let's say opinion type of essay. In the first part, in the opinion, they ask you to please explore. This is an example. Colombia has gone through different changes in its economy. Please describe. No, not describe is advantages and disadvantages. No, please express the following idea based on someone who said that Colombia is going through difficult times, especially people are becoming poor, something like that. And then you need to express your opinion on that. Okay, in the introduction, you briefly describe the topic that they're asking you to describe, like your question. And then in the introduction, you describe your question, okay? The question that they give you. Please make sure you avoid using the same words they give you in the question. So you type something like this, or you write. Okay. Colombia has gone through different changes in its economy, and it all depends on who is ruling or who is in control of the politics of the country. That's your opinion, no problem. You are taking ideas from the question, and it's okay. It's okay in the introduction. And then here I am going to describe a brief, 2 ideas that support this opinion that Colombia is going to have better conditions in 2 years, and then you start describing your idea. This is the introduction. Paragraph number, I call this paragraph number 1. This is not paragraph number 1. Paragraph number 1, you explore one side of your opinion, one side. Paragraph number 2, the second side, and then in the conclusion, you summarize these 2 ideas, okay? This is the basic structure. Now, depending on the type of essay, your structure is going to change a little bit. But remember, you need to identify if they're asking you for your opinion, if they're asking you to explore 2 sides of the same problem, if they're asking you to express advantages and disadvantages, but the question is going to tell you. So very short exercise, we're about to finish. Very short exercise. I am going to show you one question, and then you're going to tell me what type of essay they're asking you to write about. Is it opinion? Is it discussion? Is it advantages and disadvantages? Is it forgot a double question? Okay, so look, here is the example. Please tell me if it is opinion, if it is discussion. Okay, listen. Ready? Ready? Let's do this. Okay. A big salary is much more important than job satisfaction. Do you agree or disagree? A big salary is much more important than job satisfaction. Do you agree or disagree? What's that? Is that opinion, discussion, problem, solution, advantages, disadvantages, double question? What's your answer? Type your answer in the chat window. Daniela, discussion, argumentation, my goodness, Anna. Opinion, discussion. Okay, if they say agree or disagree, they're asking you to write an opinion type of essay. They always ask you, do you agree or disagree? Or they say, what's your opinion? Okay, if they ask you if you agree or disagree, they ask you for your opinion. Now listen to this second one. Listen to this second one, okay? Second question. Listen to this. It says, here. One problem faced by almost every large city is traffic congestion. What do you think the causes are? What solutions can you suggest? What type of essay? Is it opinion? Is it discussion? Is it problem solution? Advantages, disadvantages, or double question? Daniela, Jairo, guys, you're right. Problem solution. Problem solution. Awesome. Last, okay? Last. Pay attention because this one is tricky. Listen. Fossil fuels are essential for producing electricity, powering industry, and fueling transportation. However, one day we will reach a point when all the world's fossil fuels have been depleted. How can we conserve these resources? What are some alternatives to fossil fuels? What type of essay should you write here? Is it A, opinion, B, discussion, C, advantages, disadvantages, D, problem solution, and E, double question? The answer is double question. Now, for opinion, it's easy. Opinion, they usually say, what's your opinion? Do you agree or disagree? Okay. Second, for advantages and disadvantages, they will say, what are the advantages or what are the pros and the cons? Discussion, they'll say, discuss. They'll tell you to discuss. For the next one, problem solution, they state the problem and they give you a possible solution and they ask you to discuss that. But for the double question, they give you two questions after they give you a brief introduction. Please remember the following. The most important tip here is number one, identify the type of essay. Yes, identify the type of essay. Number two, remember the structure. The basic structure of any essay is the following. Write an introduction, develop idea number one in paragraph number one, idea number two in paragraph number two, and summarize your ideas in the conclusion. Usually an essay for the IELTS has 4 paragraphs. Now, because this is too much information to cover in just one workshop, I want to share with you this great website. I'm sorry, but this is the best website I have found out there. And this, this website is a must for those of you who are taking the IELTS. Why? Because this lady, her name is Jackie, covers all you need when it comes to academic and general version of the test. It's called IELTS Jackie, and the information that you're going to find there is great. This person covers, like, they give you examples of opinion essays, the type of phrases you can use to start your opinion essays, how you can approach the exam. Okay. Next, they describe double type of essays, double question essays, advantages, disadvantages. This is a very good website. Okay. So please do your research, study. And the last piece of advice that I am going to give you, I have given you different types of advice, which I am going to summarize at the end. But the last piece of advice is to study more than just vocabulary and grammar. If you want to succeed in taking IELTS, focus on a topic that is called collocations. Collocations. What are collocations? Collocations are strategies to put words together in such a way that, Maria Susana, the name of the web page, please. The name of the web page is IELTS Jackie. I have just shared with you. I shared it with just Laura. I'm sorry. I explained so much about this website and I didn't share with you the link. That's the link, IELTSjackie.com. Okay. IELTS Jackie. And as I said, collocations are a must if you want to succeed in taking the IELTS. Let me give you an example of what collocations are. How do you say, would you please do me a favor, or would you please make me a favor? Because both are correct grammatically speaking. Make a favor and do a favor are both grammatically correct. I conjugated the verb correctly, and I put, subject, verb, and complement in the correct way. What makes the difference? Collocations. Understanding that words collocate in a way that they sound natural. And the correct expression here is do me a favor. Why? Because do collocates with favor. So for those of you who want to succeed, study collocations. And there is a very, very good book out there called English Collocations in Use. English Collocations in Use by, I think this one is by the University of Cambridge. But I am going to share with you the link to that book here. Please download it. It's an amazing piece of material that you can have. So I am going to summarize what I have just said. I'm sorry, this is not enough. Please download that book. English Collocations in Use is a must. If you want to succeed in taking the IELTS, study that. So I am going to summarize. IELTS writing is part of an amazing trip to the world of examinations. In IELTS, you have listening, reading, speaking, and writing. When it comes to the academic version of the test, please remember that the two tasks that you need to accomplish in IELTS are, number one, describing or presenting figures and information. There are 7 types of graphs that you need to describe. Either bar graphs, pie charts, line graphs, tables, flow charts, and I forgot. I'm sorry, I said 7, but there's 6. And maps, sorry, pie charts, line graphs, bar graphs, flow charts, tables. There are 5, there's 6. But go to IELTS Jackie, and you'll see that she has a very good description of the types of figures that you need to present. So the best recommendation, focus on what you see. Study keywords that help you describe graphs. Like, for example, words to describe trends, or for example, the economy plummeted last week due to. So connectors, adverbs that will help you achieve your main aim when it comes to the band that you are aiming at. Okay, so writing part 1, academic version, is presenting information. If it is the general version of the test, it's an email or a letter for transactional purposes. Apologizing, complaining, asking for more information are key strategies that you need to develop. And for that, I am going to recommend this website. I always recommend it. It's a must. It's called bbclearningenglish.com. And the section is how to. And the link is here. This one. This link. Okay. There you go. We're about to finish. This one. How to. Go there, study those strategies. They show you how to express agreement, how to express disagreement, how to concede, how to take offense, lots of things. Study the material. It is going to help you for both writing part 1 and writing part 2. And then in this workshop, we spoke about the criteria. Lexical resource, coherence are some of those criteria. And writing part 2 was also part of this short workshop. And I gave you like the 5 different types of essays and a basic structure. And I have also recommended the usage of or to study collocations, to study the way you develop your ideas by using some of the material that I have shared with you. I'm sorry, this is too short. This workshop should last for about 4 hours, but 1 hour is more than enough just for an introduction. I suggest you start, using the strategies that we have shared. Start thinking in English. Remember the 3-week method for thinking in English. First words, then phrases, and finally telling yourself stories about what you do on a daily basis. Well, thank you very much for the business book. I didn't share the link for the business book, did I? Here's the book. Let me see if I can find it. Here, this book is amazing. Amazing. And the pages that I recommend are page from 170 to 180, but you have more than just that. Yeah, well, we saw that today, from pages 170 to 180. I recommend you study that material. I don't know. Thank you very much for your attendance. It was a pleasure for me to be here. I'm sorry, this is, as I said, too short, but I hope these tips are going to help you. I would very much appreciate you shared your ideas on whether or not you achieved your main aim for today's workshop. And thank you very much, Laura, for the invitation. I hope to see you again in our next opportunity.
Gracias, Juan Carlos. Claro que sí. Esperamos que a todos los asistentes les haya parecido muy interesante todos los tips que nos compartiste el día de hoy, que aprovechen cada una de las herramientas que nos compartiste en el chat y por supuesto que pongan en práctica toda la información que nos diste, comentarles también que, bueno, si quieren repasar la información, pueden ingresar a la página web de ASCUN, www.ascun.org.co, en el micrositio de internacionalización y en el espacio de grabaciones de encuentros. Estará disponible esta charla, este taller del día de hoy, para que pues también lo puedan compartir con las personas que sepan que tienen interés en el examen IELTS y pues deseen como conocer todos estos tips. Entonces, muchas gracias a todos y oportunamente los estaremos invitando a próximas sesiones. Gracias, Juan Carlos.
Thank you very much. All the best.